Justine Greening was Education Secretary under Theresa May and joins us now. It sounds pretty rubbish, doesn't it, being a student right now? I mean, if you were one of those students, what would you do now? Would you pack up and go home? Would you break the rules? Would you demand a rebate, or would you just sit it out?
I think they're impossible choices, aren't they? I mean, a lot of these will be first-year students who've had a summer of A-level chaos.
Yeah.
Not even knowing what was going to happen in terms of their university place. Now they've turned up, and the next thing they know, what had been planned, which was blended learning, part face-to-face, part online, is now, that's out of the window because of the new lockdown and regimes that people are facing. So I think students are finding it really tough. And this is a generation that has grown up after the great financial crisis, is now paying for its education in a way that previous generations weren't, and is looking to a jobs market as well that isn't going to deliver the opportunity at the end of this.
They're consumers, essentially. They're not school kids anymore. They don't have to be doing this. They've chosen to pay what will be a phenomenal amount of money that will indebt them for years to come, in many cases. They should be asking for money back at this stage, should they?
Well, I think what's interesting is whether you're a business or a university, you're caught up in what's happening with coronavirus. There are students who are confined to halls of residence because there's no testing available to check who has COVID and who hasn't had COVID. We had a winter economic plan from the Chancellor last week that set out the next raft of steps to protect jobs, to support businesses. But actually, by contrast, the education system, including universities, have really had nothing.
So
and yet they're in exactly the same situation.
Funding in this, or should have paid for students, or what?
I think the government should be sitting down with universities and working out what funding package is necessary to make sure that they're able to sustain themselves, whilst also treating students fairly. We had a furlough package to support businesses and employees. That's the same kind of approach I think we need from government for education. It needs
Where's Gavin Williamson?
Sorry?
Where's Gavin Williamson?
Well, I haven't seen what Gavin Williamson has had to say about any of this, but this is a total cabinet responsibility, in my opinion, because part of this, of course, lies with the Department of Health and making sure that testing is in place. But my point is really, it's all very well, and of course, absolutely vital to take short-term emergency steps to protect the jobs and the economy today.
Genuinely,
the point is looking ahead to the long term.
Education Secretary at this point in the school year, in the undergraduate year, would you? I mean, we literally haven't seen Gavin Williamson for months.
I think it's important that there is leadership from within the DfE, but also across government. Frankly, we've heard a huge amount on how to protect jobs today. The education system is about how we deliver a successful economy tomorrow. Right now, ministers are making choices, whether or not they realise it, about whether the Britain of tomorrow is going to be high-skilled, high salary, high productivity, or low-skilled, low salary and low productivity, whether this government's going to preside over potentially levelling up or whether levelling down is going to continue.
Maybe you would say to students, actually, cut your losses, learn a vocation, learn a skill, don't sit around having Zoom calls trapped in your rooms, get out of university. Maybe we are sending too many people into the wrong thing for this pandemic.
No, I don't agree with that at all. I think the messages coming out of the DfE from before the summer that basically too many working class kids were going to university was totally wrong. We are not going to become the high-skilled, high-productivity economy we want by having fewer young people getting into higher education. So choice is absolutely crucial. But what we need is a government that is going to support the choice of those young people to get to higher education and going to support the universities, which are these crucial social mobility drivers across the country to be able to help
Justine,
them get educated.
If you were a student now and you'd just been told there wasn't going to be any more face-to-face learning for the rest of this term, would you think you should get some money back for that? I mean, we're just talking about the debt that they're going to get themselves into in what will already be a really difficult time to graduate.
I'm sure I probably would. And I personally have said for some time, I think the whole tuition fee system needs a complete overhaul. So I don't think students should be in this position of paying tuition fees. I think we should have a very different approach, a bit like national insurance funding the NHS. But I think that's a separate issue. But I think in the meantime, government needs to get ahead of the curve and make sure that it's supporting both students and universities through what is an incredibly challenging time. instead of just leaving us to get whatever piecemeal outcomes we have across the country.
Justine Greening, thank you.
Thank you.